Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of FaB GaB. It's the first one for 2022. Now, you might be noticing, if you didn't already know, uh, my usual co-host that I usually do the show with, Matthew Street, he has other commitments and unfortunately can't do every show live. So he was very nice in saying that he would love to be on from time to time, but just can't do every show. So whenever he's able to make it, I welcome him back. And I've been teasing, saying, "Oh, I got somebody that's going to be doing it with me," and he's still a Matthew. So that part's the name. The first name is the same, Matt. It's Matthew Turnage, as you could probably read. And yeah, I want to share with you a little information about him. And go ahead, Matt. What's going on?
Not much. Just really glad to be here. Been a fan of the show since it started, and both you and Matthew Street. I've been on YouTube with my own channel for just over a year. My first video was on the McCartney 3 release date, so that's how long I've been doing it. And just started it really as an opportunity to try to communicate more with Beatles fans. So really great to be here and be part of this.
It's good to have you. And I asked Matt, well, what album, if we're going to rank, would you like to do? I'll give it up to your choice, solo album. And he picked Band on the Run. And any reasons why?
Well, it's my favorite of Paul's albums, Paul's solo albums, and Paul is my favorite of as far as their solo career. So I thought it would be uh, a good one to do. So I love the album, and it would be uh, you know uh, one that we could find some things to talk about.
Yeah, I think so. So, folks, this show, Fab Gab, we don't really have a schedule for it. It's done whenever we can, whenever time permits or schedules really permit. And so, not necessarily every Sunday. Not all of them will be live either. But the ones with the ranking of the songs I like to do live, so we can have some participation from the audience, see what they think. All right. So, all right. On that, after that's over, now let's. Hello, everybody. I'm seeing a lot of people lining up here because it's more fun than shoveling snow. Yeah, so is anything really. But let's talk a little bit about the album as far as chart history. Well, it was released first on November 30th, 1973, Band on the Run, in the UK. And then it was on December 3rd of 73 in the US. And the charting history was it got to number 9, that magic number, in the UK at first, and then went up and eventually to number 1. Uh, Several months later. In the US, premiered at number 7 on the Billboard 200 charts, and then by April, it got to number 1. But the interesting thing is that it went off the charts, well, not off, but down considerably, and then back up to number 1 again. And I think it did that a couple of times.
Yeah, I think it hit number one on three different occasions. May have been the
Three
first album to do
occasions.
that. Yeah.
Pretty amazing, huh? And I think
Mhm.
a lot of that was thanks to the singles because they had singles out. I know in the States, I mean, I grew up with them, and I remember hearing them all the time, which is how I got to know the album and eventually want to seek it out. Um, what about the whole bit about how this album came to be recorded? That's pretty amazing. At first, it was going to be a fully Wings album because it's really Wings, right?
Right.
But he started getting people that didn't want to show up because Paul was looking for a studio, and EMI has different studios all over the world. You want to do something different. So where did he wind up? In Nigeria,
Mhm.
Lagos, in Nigeria, and he got a telegram, I believe, or something before he went saying advised not to go to Lagos. Outbreak of cholera. It was before that. He tells
Yeah.
that story. Yeah.
Yeah. Paul kind of talks about how sometimes, he and Linda were really kind of hippies and naive about certain things. and they, sort of things like that would come up, and they think, "Oh, we'll be fine," and of course all the incidents that happened when they were down there, but they just kind of shrugged it off. It's I guess that's when you have that sort of level of security, you can kind of live that way. I don't know if I'd be too eager to go off if I'd received that telegram, but Paul thinks differently from me, I suppose.
Well, I did, I didn't know 100% the reasons why, but the rest of the group, a lot of them, well, a couple of them anyway, decided they're not going to go. Like Henry McCullough decided he didn't want to go just weeks before, supposedly due to musical differences, supposedly. And
Yeah,
then
well,
Denny Sywell, the drummer, left, and it was pretty quick before. And I think he has said that it was due to money. I think I've heard him say, but that's I don't think Paul said that, but that's what I had heard. But they kind of left him in the lurch, kind of at the last minute, to go to Nigeria and do this. And it's interesting to think that what a great album came of this because, right, nothing was in their favor. Look at all the tragedies that happened to them.
yeah, it's amazing sometimes when, especially creative people find themselves in a situation where their back's up against the wall and they're under pressure, how great things can happen. I mean, I guess it's kind of like you think about, in the Get Back movie, as they're looking down the barrel at that deadline for putting on a show, and all of a sudden things start coming together. I guess the same thing happened to Paul in Nigeria.
Yeah, so it was just Paul and Linda and Danny Lane, really, and I think Jeff Emmerich, maybe. I think
Mhm. Yeah, Jeff Emmerich
or did he
engineered it.
just produce? Did he produce there or engineer there?
Yeah, I think he engineered. I think Paul is listed as the producer and Jeff is the
Yeah,
engineer, if
engineer.
I remember right.
That's what I mean. Yeah, and so it was just a small little trio really that went there.
Mhm.
And as I said here, they got mugged at knife point, and Linda was supposedly screaming, "Don't kill him! He's a musician! Please, please, don't kill him!" And I heard one account where supposedly she actually said, "He's Beetle Paul. This,
Uh,
don't don't kill him." And I read something where Paul asked, "Well, what do you want?" And money, and he gave him some money. And they got lucky that they didn't die because later on they were supposedly told, you could very easily have been killed, you know.
yeah.
And because I heard that what I read was because they were white, uh, and kind of like strangers there in that regard. There's no way that they could have identified the culprits. They
Mm,
felt so if they felt they could have identified them, or they were like they were, regular citizens there that knew
mm.
everybody, they might have killed him. So
Mm,
anyway, that's the bad part. But also the weather was horrible,
oh yeah.
right?
Mm,
Monsoons
mhm,
everywhere, and tropical storms all the time. So man, how did that's every time the Beatles or sometimes solo Beatles backs up against the wall,
mhm,
they always do good work, and this
mhm.
came out to be a lot better. So
And if I remember right, didn't Paul also have a health scare during the recording where, like, all of a
yeah,
sudden he couldn't breathe, and uh,
yeah,
uh, because of I think overdoing it on the cigarettes or something? But
yeah. That's what he thought. And he collapsed and fainted, and Linda thought he was dead, and Paul thought he was dying. And he said, I have a quote here on that. It says, quote, "It was one of the most frightening periods of my life. The climate, the tensions of making a record, which had just got to succeed, and being in this totally uncivilized part of the world finally got to me." And well, at least it may have been worth it in the end, though, as it came out. So anyway, I, I got to tell you, Matt, I think as I was contemplating this more, that it could have made for a great movie script.
yeah.
The story of what happened when they did. It turned out to be a classic album.
Mhm,
Some people consider it his best album, Paul's best album he did. If not one of the best, maybe one or the other. But that alone makes it like an interesting film topic because it has a great outcome that it produced
right.
this album. But what a story this could be if they really wanted to embellish it. So
Yeah, it would make an interesting film. It's kind of one of those things too. As we talk about it, I'm thinking, when you're I'm sure when Paul was going through it at the time, he was like, "What have I gotten myself into?" But now he's got all these great stories to tell. Looking
Yeah,
back on it.
yeah. And as Tim Allen here says, the studio wasn't even finished when they got
Mm,
there. Everything was against them, and they came out uh, firing on all cylinders, producing a great album. And Paul had to play the drums, and this may be the
mhm.
best drumming he ever did because for a long
Yeah,
time as a kid, I didn't know that he didn't play.
yeah. When I first started hearing those songs, like on the radio, I had no idea that was Paul on drums. I mean, it sounds like a professional rock drummer, and yeah, he did a great job with drums on this one.
Okay, so now, folks, what we're going to do is after telling you a little about that, we're going to go into ranking the tracks, which is always a lot of fun. And there are 10 tracks. I want to say 10 because we've decided to do the inclusion of Hell on Wheels. The UK album Hell on Wheels was just a single, it was not on the album. But being as we're from the US, really, I think we'll go ahead and do Hell on Wheels as part of the album. To me, folks, even though I don't think it was recorded at the same time or or in Nigeria. If I'm not mistaken, somebody could clear it up for me. But anyway, I still think it fits on the album. I know some people think it doesn't really suit the album somehow. I vote well because I've known nothing else. It's
Mhm.
always suited the album for me. What do you think?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Uh, when I asked you about including, because this right here, this is the 25th anniversary edition of the CD.
Yeah.
This was how I first got the album when this came out,
Oh,
and so this, of course, includes Helen Wills. But here in the last couple of years, I've got used to listening to. I got the new one of the newer vinyl issues back there, which has the UK track listing. So I've started here in the last couple of years getting used to it without it after having it in there for so long. So yeah, it's but I agree that it fits. I mean, if nothing else, it's got that sort of uh, theme of freedom that so many of the lyrics have. So I think it fits in
yeah.
perfectly.
And you need a song like that on there, right about that point of the album.
Mhm.
So, so we're doing 10 tracks. Let's see. We also have other people other musicians who helped out on here, like Howie Casey and
Mhm.
Ginger Baker. Let's start. Let's start out ranking. We're going to take turns here. Neither one of us knows what the other one's picked. We're just going to wing it and see how we do. We're going to start here with number
No pun
10.
intended.
Yeah, I always do that, especially with the wings or call thing. It's fun. Gonna wing it, and we'll start with number 10 with Matt. And remember, folks, these are least favorites to most favorites. We're going backwards. Okay, Matt, what do you got for number 10 at the bottom?
All right, and with the caveat, like you and Matt used to always say, I love the album. I like all the songs on the album, but something's got to be at the bottom. So my number 10 is "No Words."
Okay.
Um, I think it's a good song. Denny comes through pretty prominently in at parts of this song, and I think he sings well. Um, uh, I think the thing that pushes it to the bottom for me is there's the falsetto vocals bit, and the strings in there to me are very much of their time in a way that doesn't really uh, appeal to me a lot. I mean, it's a good song, but for me, I just if I was in a rush and didn't have time to listen to the entire album, this would be the one that I would skip.
Okay, gotcha. And that was the first Denny Lane co-write credit, I believe. So that was no words for Matt. Let's see. Will I agree or will I disagree? Well, we'll find out in a second. I've not a very long wait. For me, at number 10, I put Picasso's Last Words, which I really don't like that song at all. It's not a matter of sometimes it's a matter of I love all the songs, but I got to pick something. I don't really like that song. I don't mind the part, you know, drink to me, drink to my health. That's a kind of catchy, but everything else they do with this to fill it out. I'm not crazy about it. I'm more interested in the background story where while shooting Papillon, Dustin Hoffman invited the McCartneys to his house, and they had dinner. And he was getting into a conversation, which is this is fascinating. I love this story about how he said, "Can you really write songs about just about anything?" Because he'd heard about that. And Paul, he's a genius. He's got a gift. So he said, "Yes, I can." And he brought out a Time magazine article and said, "Can you write about this?" And it was about Picasso, and it had that line, drink to me, drink to my health." So he started doing a little something, and Dustin Hoffman was so excited. He's going, "Look, he's." I think he's telling his wife or so, "Look, he's doing it. He's doing it." He was like so excited. I think
Mhm.
that's a great story. But the song itself, I think it's kind of long. It gets a little.
Mhm.
I mean, long songs are fine when I'm digging it, but at the end, I think it goes on a little too long, and they're using bits from Jet and Mrs. Vanderbilt and all this kind of stuff, and it just really overstays its welcome, and I'm not too keen on that one. So there are our number tens, and let's just go back a little bit here. I'm curious to see what people have been picking. So I figured Mamunia would be a lot of number tens here. So I'm just going to show you some people. We got three there for Mamunia. Helen Wheels, number 10. Don't care for the bye bye at the end. Wow. Okay. Let's see. What do we got here? No words. There you go, Matthew.
Mhm.
A bit of a small standout in terms of remembrance. Still enjoy it. And Doc Docus, hello, Doc. Yeah, Bluebird. He's, I was so glad the 8-track cartridge chose this song to split between the tracks. Hey, Robert S. Agrees with you. Ah, there's somebody that likes what I picked. Picasso's last words, bland and non-melodic. And other no words for you. And beans, there you go. Bluebird. Only sleeping. Helen Wheels, number 10. Something's got to be
Mhm.
number 10, like he likes every song. All right, let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I forgot about Picasso's last words. Number 10, I'm with you. All right, that was fun. Okay, thanks, folks. Now we're gonna go to number 9. I'll start this one off, and for the ninth one, I'm gonna go along with no words. That's where it felt on mine. It's kind of like I don't know, typical Wings song. That's a bad thing, but it's just not outstanding to me. It doesn't really stand out or anything. That's why if I'm ranking these, I put it number 9. I don't have anything really else to say about it. I have some notes here that basic track was started recorded in Nigeria and finished in England later. But yeah, it's not a favorite. After I'd say I have three that are kind of easy to put for me towards the bottom. Then after that is when it got real tough. So what do you have, Matthew, for number 9?
Well, well, picking back on what you were just saying a little while ago, my number 9 is Picasso's last words.
Oh,
And yeah, it's I like Denny's vocals in that first verse, and I like the chorus. It's a fun kind of you can kind of picture people, especially as you think about, as you said, the way the song was written, just people kind of sitting around, Paul with an acoustic guitar and everybody singing along to the chorus. But there's really other than that, there's not a whole lot going on with the lyrics, so to really sustain the length of it for me. Now,
mm,
what he does do that's interesting, and I was reading where Paul had said he was trying to sort of capture Picasso's painting style in music by having all those different sections. Yeah, and so I like the bit with all the clarinets and stuff, and the French guy speaking. I think that's kind of interesting,
yeah, speaking
and
part.
yeah, and then of course you mentioned there's a little bit of Jed in there and a little bit of Mrs. Vanderbilt, so that kind of makes it a little more interesting. But like I said, it's really just trying to make the music interesting because, like I said, the words they're only a few words, and so it doesn't really, to me, hold up for the whole length. So I like the song, but again, if it was shorter, it might rank a couple spots higher. I don't know, but yeah, I've got it at number 9.
All right, good enough. Now we have Robert S. Picasso. Hey, Steve's got Picasso. Tim Allen's got Picasso. Goes up way too long. Mamunia from Beans at number 9. No Words from Stephen O'Leary. So far, we're right on, he and I. No Words. Mamunia. Mrs. Vanderbilt. Yeah. Uh, let's see, what else do we got here? Number 9. Embarrassing piece of music, Mamunia. All right, we'll find out about that at some point, won't we? Oh, we got Helen Wheels at number 9. Oh, this is tough. Yeah. All right. Now, we're going to go to number 8, and I'm going to start with you, Matthew. What do you got for number 8 to tell us?
Well, my number 8 is Mamunia. Um, it's got some really nice acoustic guitars on it. It's got those Wings harmonies. I like the bits where Denny is sort of answering Paul in the vocals. Um, lyrically, it is actually, somewhat reminiscent of the Beatles' "Rain." Where it's all the positive things about rain, which I don't always like, but sometimes it's nice in the summer around here. But one of the things that really strikes me out about this song in a real positive way that is going to be a recurring theme through some of the other songs on my list is the bass sound. Paul has one of his best bass sounds on this album, and Mamunia is a song where that bass is really nice and clear. It's got a very rich sound, and uh, to me, it's the closest I think of any of his post Beatles sound where his bass sounds like it does, like on Sergeant Pepper. It has kind of that sort of sound. And I don't know if anybody else knows or, in the comments, I always thought it sounded like that Rickenbacker sound that he had in the later Beatles albums. But in the poster and all the pictures I've seen, he's playing a Fender. And so I don't know if it's if the sound may be because of how it was recorded. I don't know if he did direct injection on this, where you just plug the instrument straight into the control board to record it. I think that's how a lot of his bass overdubs around Sergeant Pepper was done. So maybe he was doing it the same way on Band on the Run, and how he got that similar sound, even if he's using a different bass. But yeah, the bass is great on this album. And Mamunia is a song where I think the bass really comes through really well.
Hmm.
But other than that, it's a fine song. It's a pleasant enough melody. But yeah, for me, 8 through 10 on my list are the songs that to me are good songs, and then as we get into the top 7, those are the songs that are really the great ones for me.
All right. Well, number 8, I also have Mamunia.
Okay.
So we agree on the least 3 anyway, in whatever order, though, but some of them. But Mamunia means safe haven in Arabic. That's what I read somewhere. I, d- I don't know if that's true or not. I think it's kind of underrated. That's not to say that I think it's an excellent song or anything. I just don't think it's as awful as people think. I think it's got a kind of a pretty melody to it. And yeah, all the things you said about the bass and everything, right on the money. And Paul's doing some really nice finger picking
Mhm.
on it. So it's about rain and how rain kind of has everything kind of reborn through the rain and everything like that. And I hate rain, but I understand it serves a purpose nevertheless. But yeah, Mamuni is number 8 for me, folks. So we agreed on that one. And let's just take a quick look here and see what people have in their list for number 8. 1985.
Mm.
What can I say? I don't know. You could say that you need a doctor. I don't know. What else can I tell you? No, I'm just trying to have fun, make this lighthearted. That's all I'm trying to do. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, Stephen O'Leary has Helen Wheels, number 8. Tim Allen, Bluebird. He says he doesn't give a crap about boring old bluebirds. Oh, it's so sweet. Mrs. Vanderbilt at number 8. Picasso again is back. What if anybody's got Picasso number 1? You never know. Jet, the riff is so beautiful. Harmonies are amazing. Love each song on a list.
Jet at 8 kind of hurts my feelings a little bit, though.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. Mamunia Bluebird could be here on some days, Robert S. says. And the painter Picasso is number 8 from Doc Dacus. And what else we got? Number 8 from Farrell. Great track, but compared to the others. And there we go. That takes care of that. Let's go on now. I'll start up with number 7. For number 7, I chose Bluebird. I mean, we had Paul discussing blackbirds, more or less, now bluebirds. Uh, Howie Casey, saxophone. I like that on it. Uh, Another one that I think the recording began in Lagos and finished at George Martin's London studio. You know, it's pleasant and but yet even though it's pleasant, it's arguably, for lack of a better word, twee. A lot of times when people are criticizing Paul, they criticize him for stuff like "I'm a blueberry, I'm a blueberry," that kind of thing. I think it's an enjoyable song. I mean, it's hard to dislike the song, you know. Um, so those are my feelings on it. Bluebird number 7 for me. How about you, Matthew?
Well, we'll keep the conversation going. My 7 is Bluebird also.
Oh wow,
Yeah, I what I wrote down about this song was easy and breezy. It's got a very kind of relaxed vibe to it. And the melody, I really liked the melody on this one. I was having lunch with a friend of mine. We were talking about Paul McCartney a few days ago, and he was talking about how Paul seems to have this gift for putting out these melodies that feel like they just should have always been there. They're so simple, but so catchy. Uh, and this has got one of those melodies. I like the melody. And you mentioned the Howie Casey saxophone in there is great. But my favorite thing actually about this track is the
oh
percussion.
yeah,
And the percussionist, I forget the name, but he's actually a Nigerian if I remember right, but he
yeah.
recorded it in London, overdub later. But there's that, and I don't even know what the thing's called, but it's this this sort of ridge thing that you rub with a stick, and that sound is going through all of it, and then the little wood blocks and things. And that's actually what I listen to most in this song. I think that's all very interesting, the percussion stuff.
Okay, well stated. Okay, now let's go and see where we're at here. I want to go and find number 7's picks for people. Picasso, you still alive at number 7, Picasso? Oh, come on. Helen Wheels at number 7. Bluebird at number 7. Yeah, we go. Now we're on the same page. Grew on me over the years. At one time, it would have been my least favorite. Now it's grew on him. Oh, that's cool.
Mhm.
Let's see. We got "Let Me Roll It." Paul doing John doing Paul. Well said.
Yeah.
Uh, I think Paul may disagree though, but Bluebird yesterday. Well, we all of us imagine this time. Let's see. We got a Bluebird. We've got a No Words. We've got another Bluebird Pleasant song. Yes, indeed. And Mrs. Vanderbilt. And Doc tells us things take a great upturn after this. And what else we got here? Robert S. is surprised by the low showing for Helen Wheels. All right. Now we're going to go to number 6, and we'll let you start it off, Matthew.
All right, number 6, I have 1985. This is a song that, yeah, as I said, as we're getting into this area, these are songs that I really love. 1985 has that really driving piano throughout it. It's sort of in the same family, I guess you'd say, as something like Lady Madonna, where it's real piano driven rocker, up tempo. It's got a really interesting synthesizer sound in there too that I really like that goes over it. But my favorite thing about the track is how it builds. You know, Paul does a great job. It makes it really dramatic. It builds up over time. You have the orchestra coming in and just building up the intensity almost to like an explosion, and then into the end where you have the little reprise of Band on the Run. It's kind of like in the song Band on the Run, where they use the orchestra to kind of build up to an explosion, and it's that sort of escape, into freedom bit. It's Paul seems to like, and certainly around this time, he seemed to like the idea of sort of repeating themes and kind of linking things back in albums. And I think it works pretty well to kind of give you a sense of the album as a cohesive whole that's like one piece of art together, not just a bunch of songs strung together.
Hmm, okay. I will be talking about a little about 1985 later on, because now for number six for me, I have Helen Wheels, the UK single. And Helen Wheels is the name of McCartney's Land Rover. Uh, and it's not never been a favorite of mine. I'll tell you, on this album, I like it a lot on the album. But as a rock song, not one of my all time favorites. It wouldn't rank high for Paul's all time rockers for me. Always thought it's hard to understand the lyrics. A lot of times, I don't always know what he's saying. I have to like look him up. Uh, a strong rocker, maybe some nonsensical in the lyrics. Doesn't matter half the time when I'm enjoying a good rocking song from McCartney or anybody else for that matter. As I said at the beginning, at the top of the show, I'm just glad the U.S. it's on the album. You know, so that's Helen Wheels for me. Take you the number six spot, and let us go back and see where we have number six. All right, no words. Yeah, okay. The guitar is what makes it. Wow, that's pretty good showing for no words. Let me roll it. Number six, we have no words. Getting tough for Timmy. Mahmooni, great acoustic guitar. Yeah. Let me roll it. Mrs. Vanderbilt at number six. 1985 at number six. Here we go. No words. Vanderbilt. And that's it at this point.
Yeah,
All right.
interesting to see so many no words come in around number six when we both had it so low.
Yeah,
But
yeah, stuff like that is always interesting. Some of these you never can believe what's so low sometimes or what's so high.
mhm.
Yeah, and that means we're into the top five. All right. So let's go for that. For me, it was kind of hard, but all right, I'll start. And I went with "Let Me Roll It" at number five. Um, I liked that song a lot more before Paul started doing it to death live.
Mm,
I mean, I've seen him live many times, and it was a real treat. I think the first time he did it that I saw him was in '93, and it's all the time now. It's kind of overstayed its welcome when I see him do it, but not that I didn't really get a thrill out of him doing it the first few times. I
mm.
did, but the song itself, some people, including me, as was kind of said before here by one of our commenters, sounds kind of like Lennon-esque. Like it's kind of like maybe Paul doing Lennon, but Paul has said that he doesn't think so. But take that as you will. It's got that kind of echoey sound. It's got a great guitar riff that makes it. Some people might think it's kind of monotonous after a while. I can't get enough of it, except the fact that I'm tired, just a little more kind of burned out on it in general. The whole song. What do you have for number five to start your bottom half?
Well, I've got Helen Wheels at number five,
All right.
and this one, what I really like about it, this one is how it kind of bounces along. It's got that shuffle beat, and I remember Roger Glover of Deep Purple one time saying it's always a good idea to have a shuffle on an album, and so this kind of fills that slot. It's To me, this is the one song that is sort of a throwback to the very early Wings, or even sort of Ram period, where you've got that very sort of homemade kind of sound to it.
Okay.
uh, and I really like that about it. I think the chorus is very catchy. Paul plays some really good lead guitar on this one too. I think I like his guitar work throughout it, And it's also, I appreciate songs. I like song. To me, rock and roll, it should be fun first and foremost. I think part of what got Paul in trouble with some of the critics in the early 70s was, people had decided that rock and roll should be something serious. And but when I go back and I listen to Chuck Berry or I listen to Little Richard, that stuff's fun. And Helen Wheels is one of those kind of fun songs. It doesn't take itself very seriously, but it rocks along pretty well, and I really like it.
Okay, and that's our number 5. And as we look here, we find we got no words all the way up to number 5 for beans.
Mm.
Beans, beans. Then we got Robert S. with Mrs. Vanderbilt at number 5. Uh, he he enjoys the whole hey ho bit, unlike Doc Dacus. Yeah, 1985, maybe Paul's strongest ever album closer. It certainly
Could
has
be.
that ending to it. Let Me Roll It at number 5 for Farrell. We have Mamunia all the way up to number 5 from the man who despises my love, Matthew Smith. I love you, Matthew Smith. We're just playing. That's a little joke. Let's see. Mrs. Vanderbilt again. I'm going to get to that R, the nasty R in the middle pretty soon. Vanderbilt, I keep saying. Um, should have been Vander with an R. Picasso. Oh my, all the way up to okay. But so Zeech Calzone. Oh, this is the whole thing. Matthew Smith. What are you doing there, man? Oh yeah, I've heard of this too. That Lennon's beef jerky from Walls and Bridges was influenced by "Let Me Roll It." But is it possible "Let Me Roll It" was influenced by "Well, Well, Well"? I don't know. You know, I don't know about beef jerky being much like "Let Me Roll It," but what do I know? Just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't really hear that myself.
Well, number 5 for Only Sleeping Jet, unfortunately, because of song fatigue. Still a great song. And now Helen Wheels, Doc has it number 5, and he does like the bye bye at the end.
I like
So
that too. I'm with
yeah, I
Doc
love it
on that.
too. Even goofy though it is, it's a bye bye. I do like it. Okay, let's
Steve?
see. I think that's it for now. All right. So now we're over to number 4, and we're getting closer to the top. What do you have for number 4, Matt?
Well, at number 4, I've got "Let Me Roll It," and this is another one where I really got to talk about Paul's bass. The bass on this is incredible. Just that really thick tone, and then there's that the keyboard. I think it may be a Hammond organ. I'm not sure. It sounds like a Hammond organ to me. Over it that gives the song together. The bass and that organ give the song. It's kind of to me. It's kind of a almost like a dreamy thing, and if Paul, I was looking back through the lyrics book last night, and Paul did talk about how there is that sort of drug reference aspect to "Let Me Roll It," but to me, it's more about the love song part of it. I really like the lyrics, the whole, "My heart is like a wheel, let me roll it to you." I think Paul's singing in that bit is really very soulful, and I
Yeah,
just love
yeah,
his vocals on that. It's a
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, no, I was saying, yeah, I agree. I also agree that my heart is like a wheel, so let me roll it to you.
Hmm.
That's the whole idea, folks. It ain't like roll a joint. Maybe a double entendre if you're so inclined, but that's what
Hmm.
I think it is. But then again,
Yeah,
would never would have thought that "Got to Get You Into My Life" was about weed either. So
right. But the guitars on this, to me, the song, the Lennon song that it reminds me of, the guitars have sort of that cold turkey flavor to them. That's what I always think of. But the vocals, I don't think he particularly sounds like John singing. I think what makes it sort of like John is all the reverb and echo. But of
yeah,
course,
that's what I
John,
think it means. They mean, I
yeah,
think at the very end too, he does that kind of like "Can't Do It Today." At the end or whatever.
yeah. But all that reverb and echo, John had all that on his vocals because, or partly because, uh, of all those early rock and roll records, Elvis and all that always had a lot of reverb on the vocals, and of course, Paul grew up with that stuff too. So I think it's fair that he would want to do a song that way. I don't think, to me, it's particularly in the John mode. But again, also Linda's backing vocals on that are really good. This is one of those songs that's kind of dangerous for me to listen to at work because I always want to sing along and have a
Yeah.
terrible, terrible singing voice. So I always have to kind of be careful and catch myself before I start belting it out in the office. But yeah, I love the song.
All righty. All right, so let me go for my number four now, and I'm going to go to Mrs. Vanderbilt. And I have to say, as a lot of people are spelling it here, this is not a critique because it should be with an R.
Mhm.
Because the song is not Vanderbilt with an R the way it should be. It's Vanderbilt without the R. But whatever. I love the song. It's fun. Think of words, up tempo, very up tempo, jaunty, happy. I love the ho hey ho bits in there, and I also like the guitar, some of the guitar work in there, and the saxophone again that comes in. I love brass stuff in my pop rock. Some people don't. I do. Howie Casey again, give it the credit. This was a song that was done. Geez, where did he do that? Was it in Russia that he did it? He did it, and it was so very popular. And he wound up bringing it back for a while when he did. I think it was New York City, the concert for New York City. What is it called? Good Evening New York City from 2009. He brought it back. I thought this is a song that works very very well, in a live format and audience reaction. And it's kind of interesting because Paul doesn't always go back enough into songs unusual songs from his solo catalog. So when he did that, I was very very pleased to say the least. So there you go. Ho, hey ho for me. All right. And that completes number four. So now let me just go back and see what we got here. We got Jet from Beans, number four. We have Bluebird at number four. And we have Mrs. Vanderbilt. Paul's vocal is amazing on this track. Yeah, he really was something.
Yeah.
Really. Mrs. Vanderbilt again. Helen Wheels. Not only do I love the bye-byes, but I also thought that signified the upcoming heavily rumored Beatles reunion.
Hmm.
Ah.
Interesting.
1985, a perfect album closer. A Mamunia, beautiful synth work over that bass riff and acoustic guitar. Song just sounds amazing. I think that the first song they recorded. Uh,
Yeah, was that the one? There was one song that they recorded at Ginger Baker's studio.
oh yeah, I forgot to mention. I think that was Picasso's last words. Actually,
Oh, okay. All right.
I think let me just double check that. I had some notes on that I wanted to mention. Yeah, Ginger Baker on percussion. The only song to be recorded at the Ginger Baker studio in Nigeria. Picasso's last words. So
Okay.
there's more going between the Ginger Baker connection and Dustin Hoffman. I'm more interested in that than the actual song. Okay. Band on the Run, a little bit of fatigue, but there are three I like better. Okay.
All right.
Um, Let me roll it. Classic McCartney. Yes, Matt, great bass. Okay, and this is Vanderbilt was seen at Fenway in 2009. Right, right, right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was a. It wasn't. Was it an error? I mean, when I say typo, it wasn't just a typo because that appears like that everywhere. I think that you see the song.
Yeah, it's always listed without the R. You almost wonder if maybe Paul took the R out for legal purposes or something. I
Oh,
don't
maybe that's why. Let me roll it. Riff is similar to Cold Turkey. And here's a little bit. I was 11, heard a Beatles reunion rumor. Then I heard Helen Wheels. 11-year-olds have their own sense of logic.
know.
All right, let's go on to number three. Now, this is the top three. Best
All
three
right.
songs we feel. Favorite. Sometimes they go together. Best favorite. Okay, number three for me. I almost hate to have to do this, but come on. Fatigue Factor, Band on the Run, the title song.
Uh,
It's one of the greatest songs Paul ever did. It's a classic Paul all the way. It's a masterpiece. I always say, I'll say this from time to time during these chats. If everybody just puts songs where they're supposed to be, uh, because technically, then we'd all have the same list. So I'm trying to do these by what you feel right at the moment, right now, today. Maybe different next year, but yeah, it could have been number one. But anyway, different moods of the song, uh, the sweets, different moods. The intro is fantastic. All that easygoing, slow part, and that guitar, catchy guitar bit
Mhm.
that I love. I didn't really know this, but when I was just looking things up about it, supposedly the line "If I ever get out of here" was inspired by George Harrison from something that he said. I didn't know this from 1969, maybe Apple
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. One of the I think the story goes that they were at a Apple meeting, and George said something about that. If we ever get out of here. Although I saw an interview with George where he was asked about it, and he said he didn't remember saying that. But
Oh,
you know, who knows? But that's Paul's story, is that George said that at one of the
yeah.
meetings.
Well, that's the kind of thing that, I mean, George may not remember saying, just an offhand
Right,
thing that Paul
right,
struck Paul, so he
mhm,
retained it. And I think he
right.
had that bit in his mind for a long time. The little part of the song that Paul had for to start out with. If I ever get out of here, and then everything blossomed from there. And I love the whole structure of the song. It starts out, the band is in prison, they're locked up on
Mhm.
everything, they break free, everything's grand. Yeah, it's a great song. It's just that if it comes on the radio these days, I'm almost like, oh, okay, here we go. All right, well, I'm in. But I don't know. It's great performances all around, great vocal all around. Band on the Run for me, title track at number three. And I turn it over to you, sir. Matthew? What do you have for number three?
All right, my number three is Mrs. Vanderbilt. Yeah, that bass on this one, it just bounces along
Boom,
and it
boom,
sounds
boom,
so
boom.
great.
How can I not
Uh,
mention that?
yeah, I mean, I love the bass on that one more than anything. You mentioned Howie Casey's saxophone on there is really great, and you know, I love the ho hey ho bit. Sorry Doc, but to me, that always gets me singing along. And I also like in the lyrics the whole what's the use of worrying thing, because
No
that's kind of,
use.
yeah, how when I look at things happen in life, that are stressful or whatever, I always kind of look at it and say, hey, can I do something about it? If I can, try to do something about it. If I can't, then it's like the song says, what's the use of worrying? You can't control it, so just get on with
Especially when you got a little of this stuff going on.
it.
What's the use of worrying? I'm rich.
Yeah, that makes it a lot
Show
easier.
me the money. Like la di da. Just say la di da.
Yeah,
Or,
that's right.
oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Oh, you finished? I didn't want
Oh,
to.
yeah, yeah, that's all I had.
Okay, that was good. All right, now we're gonna go see what people have for threes. This should be interesting. Beans has a Band on the Run at number three. I don't know why I think Matthew Turnage has it at number one for some reason. I thought it detected a little reaction, but I could be wrong. Let's find out. Helen Wheels. Robert S. always loved that song. 1985. Helen Wheels. Perfect, fun summertime song. 1985. Bluebird at number three. Jet at number three. There you go. Yeah, George said that once. Jet at number three. No words. Woo-wee. I know I'm in the minority here, but I don't care. Nor should you
Yeah,
care. It's what
yeah,
you like.
you be you, only with
Yeah,
sleeping.
absolutely. Like I said before, to me, it's very Beatley. What's wrong? And what's wrong with that? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay. All right. What's this? Let me roll it. Number three. Any more? Okay, that's it for now. All right, folks. So we're gonna go. Number one and number two. Woohoo! I'm gonna put the burden on you first. Let's see.
All
I
right.
don't think I'm gonna listen. I don't think You think he's gonna have Band on the Run at number one? I just have a feeling. What do you got, Mac, for number two?
Well, I tell you, I really did go back and forth on number one and number two because I love both these songs a lot. And it's like, okay, do I pick the one that really speaks to me on a sort of a intellectual basis, or do I pick the one that speaks to me on a visceral sort of gut basis? And what I ended up going with, just based on how they hit me as I was listening to it this week, the one that kind of hits me more viscerally ended up at number two. So now my number two is Jet. Uh,
Okay.
Jet is it's one of uh, Paul's greatest rockers, I think. I love the horn sound. It's got that dirty horn sound, and the saxophones and everything, and the synthesizer. They got a really fuzzed out synthesizer that really kind of uh, dirties up the sound in a way I
Mm.
really like. Um, I was looking back in the lyrics book on this track too, and Paul talks about in the Beatles, they developed these songwriting tricks, that they use to kind of help them write hit songs. And it says, one trick that always works is shouting. And so you got that the shouting of Jet in there, and it does you hear it and it makes you just want to shout along. It makes it such a great track for a concert. I think the guitars sound great in it too. Yeah, it really there's a it's a track that just has a lot of excitement to it. Like I said, it kind of hits me viscerally. I hear it and it gets the blood pumping, gets the adrenaline flowing. It's a song you just want to reach over that volume dial and crank it up every time.
I hear you, sir. I hear you. Somebody wants to remind us. We didn't know this, so it really helps us to be reminded. Of course, we knew this. You Americans, Helen Wheels does not appear on the LP, UK pressing. I'm going by the US pressing, sir. As I said at the beginning of the show, which you might not have heard. Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. I go for the US a lot. Okay, so now, for me, number two, what's it going to be for me? Right? How do I feel these days? These days, how do I feel? Oh, I got two songs left. Well, no, I have 1985 at number two, a song that's grown by leaps and bounds over the years for me. I love that. I'm so glad I got a chance to see him do that live when he brought that back. Sort of Yankee Stadium. I never want to have to go into Yankee Stadium again in my life if I can help it. Love what Paul's doing with his voice. I love the piano intro bit. The way all the instruments come in, and the break with the ooh. We just take a breath for a while and calm down, and then we get right back with the piano. Let's bring us back to where we were. Start all over again one more time. Love it. The grand ending with the Band on the Run coda, which
Mhm.
talked about. I like when it works like that. Like one more time. This is the Band on the Run album, folks, and we're signing off. It's epic. It's an
Yeah.
epic track, and
Yeah, I didn't talk about that bit where it quiets down, Joe, but you're right. That is a great way
yeah.
that it comes down and then brings you back up again with that piano. I love that part.
Oh, I love that. It's such a like. Let's just take a breather for a moment here, but not too low. We're coming right back. I
Mhm,
just love that. I'm so giddy about it.
mhm,
Like a kid in a candy store. All right, let's on number two. Let's see what we got here. We got Jet at number two. We got Let Me Roll It all the way at number two. Great crunchy riff, no matter where it comes from. Helen Wheels, The Bye Bye is my favorite part of an already swell song. Jet, Pure Perfection. Unfortunately, I still hear it on the radio every day of my life. Uh, okay, Band on the Run at number two. Jet loves how it hits you right off. I was just thinking that. I love the driving
mhm,
synth bass too. Let Me Roll It. This song just knocked me on my rear. Mamunia all the way at number two.
mhm.
Underrated song. Great bass. Back and forth vocals. Loves it. Loves those at the end. Yeah, it's a nice touch. Euphoric, 1985. Only problem with no words that it feels like it should be about a minute longer.
Hmm.
Number two, Jet, a great rocker. Great. All right, now let's go for number one. Now, for me, this if you're following, I don't know if anybody remembers everything. For me, it's Jet. Jet number one. That's right. Now, this is a perfect example of a song that sometimes, even though I heard it on the radio all the time, even though you turn, unlike something like Band on the Run or Yesterday or some other song that I may pick that I'm tired of hearing on the radio. Anytime I hear that intro, I'm hooked. I crank the volume up as loud as I can. Yeah, Jet's on. I put it loud. I have great memories of it. I got a lot to say about this, so everybody get comfortable. I got a lot to say about this. I have great memories of this. Sometimes you're tainted in a positive or negative way in your life. Heard this on the radio all the time. Reminds me of my youth. Reminds me of being 11, 12 years old. Probably more like 12 because it went into 74. That it was. And I remember when it was a hit single on the radio. I just remember it. One of his Paul's all time great rockers. It rocks. It's nasty sounding in a way, real guttural in a way. The words. I'm going to go into some words here, and this, believe it or not, I'm only thinking of this today. Now you could say this guy is stupid. He didn't never picked up on this before. As I was doing some research, I picked up on this. I'll get to that in a minute. Or you might say, "Oh no, that I never thought of that." First of all, Jet supposedly inspired by Paul's dog. That's not the bit I'm talking about. There was a puppy. They had names for these, named Jet, right? Uh, Saxophone. I'm writing stuff I like. I'll get back to the lyrics. What I found out about. I'm all over the map. Let's see. Now, I've heard that words are being thought up to fit the melody. Pretty much, it's not really. I don't think Paul said that much about it. It sounded good, like the word suffragette. He said sounds like a good word to use, and it is in the song. I love the ah mater
No.
middle part, kind of like again, like it kind of like changes from the rest of it, then it goes back to the main bit. Now, here's the thing. Here's the part that I just found that I never thought about it because I think Paul said something about referring to the sergeant major. It could have been Linda's father when he was first meeting him. Like he felt like he kind of was old fashioned, and Paul was a little uncomfortable. Was your father as bald as a sergeant major, and all this kind of stuff? So I wrote down some of the lyrics here, and I'm starting to think that I don't know if Paul thought of it, but this is really a song about Linda and Paul meeting Linda's parents. Like now, just imagine, even though Jet is the dog's name, right? If you think of Jet meaning Linda, you could use that word. So it's like I can almost remember their funny faces that time you told them that you were going to be marrying soon. That kind of like goes in line with like what the parents or the father. And then was it bald or bold? I said bold, whatever it was. Was your father's as bold? I think as bold as a sergeant major. How come he told you that you were hardly old enough yet? Sounds like marriage. He's
Hmm.
having like kind of mocking them a little bit and saying, "I thought the major was a lady suffragette."
Hmm.
Maybe like mocking the parents a little bit of this. And then mater is mother, right? Doesn't mater usually mean mother?
Yeah,
S-
it's Latin for mother.
So it's like mater wants Jet to always love me. So it's like Linda. It fits. The mother and father references
Mhm.
possibly, and of course the line like with the wind in your hair of a thousand laces, climb on the back and we'll go for a ride in the sky. And then at the end, he says, "A little lady, my little lady." Yes, I used to think this song means absolutely nothing. It means that who cares? It's a great rocker. Means absolutely not a damn thing. And I don't care because it's so fuck. I almost said it. I said so flippin', energetic, and so rocking. But now I'm thinking for the first time, how could it be today, this morning? I'm saying, wait a minute. I mean, it fits like that if you want to. Hear that
Yeah,
too.
I think you're right, Joe. I haven't really, I don't think I really analyzed it quite as much as you were doing just now. But when I saw Paul make some reference somewhere along the way to Linda's dad,
Yeah,
in making that connection with the sergeant major, it's like you do kind of it does kind of seem like he's telling the story of meeting the parents, or maybe telling them, like you said, they were going to get married or something like that. It's because I think at first blush, if you don't know that connection, you hear the lyrics, and it's just kind of rock and roll lyrics that don't necessarily mean
yeah,
anything. But I think Paul does that a lot, where he'll write lyrics that on the surface he writes them in such a generalized way that you don't necessarily know what he has something specific in mind, but he writes them in a generalized way. So I think he likes people to take the lyrics however they want to take them, and it means something to him. But I think he likes the idea that maybe it means something different to somebody else. But
yeah,
I think you're on. I think you're right on about those lyrics.
yeah. Now, having found that out just now, because of the quote about Sergeant Major and Linda's dad and everything, I said, "Gee, the other ones fit if you want him to." Except he's not going to sing Linda. It's going to say Linda, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Use it's Jet, but whatever. All right. So thank you for indulging me, folks. And now it's your turn, Matt, to tell us your number one pick.
Oh, all right. May have to work on my poker face, but yeah, you're right. My number one was "Band on the Run," and
Gotta work
like
at
I
that.
said, yeah, I did kind of go back and forth between this and Jet, and part of keeps Band on the Run on top for me is just to me it's an amazingly well structured song. I love how he puts it together, and this song. Uh, because it's kind of my own terminology. I like to call it prog pop, because it's like I like the band Yes, and they'll take like three or four song ideas and put them together into one song, but it's like a 12-minute song, or it may be a 20-minute song, take up a whole side of an LP. Paul does that and keeps it all within a 5-minute pop song that's really catchy and gets your attention, but it takes you through all these different phases. And Uncle Albert Admiral Halsey is another one kind of in this vein of what I
Hmm.
think of as Paul's prog pop pieces. But what I really like about it is the music tells the story as much as the lyrics do.
Yeah, well said.
you, it starts off that first section, the stuck inside these four walls bit, there with the guitar and the synthesizer that kind of follows along, echoes it a little bit. That it feels very sort of dreamy, like you're in this situation you want to get out of, and maybe you're daydreaming about how I'm going to get out. And then you get to the next part where it kind of rocks it up a little bit, and I got to mention this. I love it, whenever I hear this, I always picture in my mind the clip from Rock Show when they get to this bit and Paul holds his Rickenbacker up as he's kind of moving across the stage. But it this that part's a little kind of uh, meaner and tougher, and it kind of it has some more of that desperation that's in the lyrics. If I ever get out of here, and kind of the maybe some anger in it too. Thought of giving it all away to a registered charity. All I need's a pint a day. I love that line too. And then it builds up with that orchestra. The all the horns and the strings, and it builds up to this big climax, and then it just goes into the last section, which is just so open and free. It's like, okay, the orchestra build up, that's the big explosion. We're breaking out of jail, and then in this last part, now we're free and clear, and we're heading out on the road and enjoying life. And I love that. I think all through the song, the music fits the lyrics perfectly. I think it's so well put together and so well thought out. It just works on all levels for me. So it's the song that it's certainly in my neighborhood. It's the one song on this album, even more than Jet, that you're going to hear on the classic rock radio station all the time. But somehow the fatigue factor never quite gets there for me. I can listen to it all the time.
Yeah, great. It's funny how that is with me. Sometimes I'm like, nah, I'm a little fatigued on that one, but not the other one. I don't know. I
Mhm,
don't know why, but yeah, what you said about wow, the music telling the story too. That's
mhm.
brilliant. Yeah, you're right. That's so true. And with that, we finished the album. And thank you, everybody. Let's look at the number ones. But before I forget to do that, okay, here we go. Band on the Run. Never a fatigue factor for Robert. I hear that opening riff and smile. Okay, I read that. Very good. Let's see now. Aunt Mimi says, "Band on the Run number one. Band on the Run. 5+ minute story song goes to number one on the U.S. Billboard chart. Respect."
Yeah, that's a good point because it's not necessarily the type of song that you would expect to be a number one hit single.
My love. I mean, Jet. It's about his dog, right? No matter. Well, no mater, no mater. Uh, I don't know. Listen, consider what I said. Maybe it's Linda too. I don't think Paul even knows sometimes, but that's okay. Uh, a masterpiece in three different parts. 1985. Amazing close. And Vivian concurs. What a groove. Makes me dance every time. Jet, yeah. Where's Kid O'Toole? I know Kid O'Toole loves Jet. Is it number one with her? I think it might be. Uh, yeah. Paul spits out the T and Jet. Yeah, it's great. Never fatigued of Band on the Run. Reminds me of Happiness is a Woman Gun
Hmm.
with the riff and all the different directions it takes. A masterpiece. If I was listening to the album for the first time or two now, I probably would put Band on the Run number one. Like if I just had heard it my first time. 1984. I missed the comment. I'll just read the title. I ran out of allowed characters to expand. Band on the Run. I was 9 when it came out. Distinctly remember hearing it for the first time at Grant's department store. Love the multiple different parts. Song fatigue, still number one for me. Band on the Run. One of Paul's best no fatigue. Yo. Yeah, I think it makes a little more sense to me now, Jet. Ah, there's Canadian Stud Muffin. My number one is 1985. Okay, let's see what else do we have here. Great analogy with Uncle Albert, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Only Sleeping.
Oh, there you go. Great job, Matthew.
All right, appreciate it, Robert.
Well, I'm not surprised that you matched more of his rankings than mine. Yeah, okay. Let's see. We got number one, Jet. Yeah, baby. Tom Hunyadi. There we go. 1985. And I think, well, no, I got more down here. Let's see. Did I show this? I did show. I'll show it again. Makes it look like there's somebody else, but I think I showed that one. No, we showed that one. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm at the bottom. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for joining us here. This has been a lot of fun, as it always is. And I thank Matthew Turnage so much for agreeing to come on today and to join me at this. And we're going to do it again. We'll find another album to do. And we're going to have other topics because this is about talking about Beatles stuff too. It's not just always going to be about ranking different albums. I would like to get through the entire solo catalog at some point. But we're going to have guests on as well. I won't be putting it all on just Matt's shoulders. You know. Now, Matthew, again, people who tuned in late, talk about your channel a little bit.
Yeah, I've got a channel. I'm relatively new, I guess, to YouTube. Only been on it just a little over a year, but it's mainly Beatles and solo Beatles. Every now and then, I may mention something about some other music that I like, but do occasional album reviews, or I just talk about topics related to the Beatles. So check it out, and if you'd be interested in subscribing, love to have you.
Okay. And a little tidbit there from Stephen Schnee.
Hmm, I didn't know that.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for being here, just a young Beatles fan. Anyway, even though you only was able to show up to do the number one. All right. And as for me, you know the deal. I'm going to be doing Talk More Talk on YouTube. It's going to be live at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing it Monday, tomorrow night. Well, depending on when you watch this video, but it's going to be a topic where we talk about, I guess, our favorite of the Beatles solo videos and promo films, videos. You can go either way with that. We're going to be discussing that. That's on keep the shows mixed up. Talk More Talk. This is Fab Gap, and we don't know exactly when we're going to do the next show, but just keep watching my channel. You'll see. I'll explain with the little clip there. Coming up, whatever time it's going to be, and stuff like that. So, yeah, this is Joe Mayo, and for Matthew Turnage, I'm saying thanks everybody. Take care. Don't go in jail. You won't have to get sprung out like a band on the run. All right, everybody. See you soon.